And welcome back once again to the Endurance Hour Podcast, episode 251, alongside Coach Wendy Mader. I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks for joining us once again this week. We have a great question today. One question, one topic for this episode. It's a good question, too. It says here, I have my first half Ironman this fall. Actually, first Ironman this fall. What do I need to have on my bike on race day? Obviously, I need gels, water, any tools or other items that may come in handy. And I think it seems like a simple answer, but there's a lot of trial and error that goes into this, Wendy, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'm glad this person is planning ahead. Fall's a far time away, and there's a lot he can do to get ready for his race, including practicing with the nutrition he thinks he's going to have with gels and water and fuel. Definitely a good question. Something that you really learn by experience. So maybe this is going to be, maybe he just started triathlon. Maybe this is his first year triathlon. Hopefully he's got some sprints and Olympics and maybe a half leading up to his first full that he can practice with the things he's going to need for that Ironman race.
Mm-hmm. So besides just gels and water, hey, if you're getting ready for a half or a full, you're going to have a lot of this you're going to have all this on the course provided for you. So if you need anything special that maybe you're used to training with, bring that with you for your bike. But a good tip that Wendy always says is that know what they have provided on the race course so you can train with that ahead of time. So on race day, you just have a rolling buffet when you're on the course. So you're already working with Powerade or Gatorade, whatever the course may have in training. So when you get on race day, maybe you just need a couple of bottles of water on your bike itself and just take what they have on the course. Thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, I use what's on the course. Mm-hmm. So I will start off with one water bottle on my bike, and I will have usually like in what's called a bento box. It's just a little box mm-hmm. that you put on your top tube. I'll have whether I'm going to do some power chews or some power gels or some power bar product. Mm-hmm. I'll have that in my bento box, or I usually shove it down my swimsuit mm-hmm. For easy access. And then at the first aid station, I'll have a bottle of water. And then at the first aid station, I'll grab a bottle of Gatorade. So then I'm down to 2 bottles. And at every aid station, which for an Ironman is usually every 10 miles, mm-hmm. I'll make sure I down at least 1 bottle so I can toss that and grab a new one. So I don't have a lot of fuel that I have to store on my bike because I do rely on the aid stations mm-hmm. for that purpose.
I'd say I like the idea of having maybe just 1 bottle. I've seen people have 4 bottles in their bike, 2 up behind them on their seat, behind their seat, 2 down on their down tube. It's like, that's a lot of extra weight if you think about it. You've trained so hard for these longer distances, you don't want to have to carry more weight than you need to. So if you have 1 bottle of fluids that gets you to your first aid station, which is 10 miles away. So let's say, because you're excited, it's going to take you a half hour, 45 minutes to get there. That's all you need. You might want to have something in your T1 area that you want to consume just to carry you over after your swim. But I would say maybe have 2 bottles on there max, because once you get to that first aid station, you're going to refuel. You're going to maybe drop one of your bottles. First thing I'd say, get a bottle, put it on your bike as soon as possible, because you want to have something on board. Then maybe finish off your second bottle, toss it, take another bottle, maybe put it on your bike again, and then fuel up physically, and then toss that bottle. I don't think you need more than 2 per aid station.
I don't think you do either, but it's for some people with the special needs. If they need a special hydration, electrolyte mix, mm-hmm. Powdered mix, then those are probably the people that have 4 bottles on their bike, because they're not going to rely what's at the aid station. Unfortunately, yeah, that's probably the case. I also, on that mention, you are allowed a special needs bag that you'll get anywhere between mile 50 and 70. So you can have your special items, fueling items in your special needs bag. So if you start with 4 bottles, go through 4 bottles, and then have to repack 4 new, fresher bottles, you can do that at the special needs aid station.
Now, with that bento box that you talked about, this little Velcro mesh covered box that you can put your stuff in, I definitely would encourage you to have some sort of easy to digest gels or something like that you can put in there that are loose. Let's say you get a bag of Power Bar gels, for example. Take them out of the bag, put them have them loose, because it's very hard to open something while you're riding. Depends if it's super hot, because you don't want them all melting together. And if it's super cold, you don't want them too hard to chew. But I'd say loosen them up and let them be loose.
Back in my day when I started, I used to take a Power Bar, cut it in probably 6 pieces, put the little pieces on my top tube. They would melt, so they'd stick. Yeah. And then as I was riding, I would just peel off a piece of Power Bar from my top tube and eat it. Yeah. Since then, I don't use those types of bars anymore, but I will definitely, if I have some sort of gel or like a chew, like a chomp or I forget the names of all the chews, I'll open up the bag or I'll open up the gel. And I've also been known to place gels on my bike opened up with tape. I'll tape them on my bike.
One thing I used to do in the beginning stages of maybe the Olympics or half Ironmans, I would line up my gels just like you're talking about, taping them on the tip where you can just tear it off and the tip stays on your bike, so it's easy to tear. And you have this long line. You'll still see it today. You'll see a long line of gels that are on someone's top tube. One thing that's okay about that is that they're easy access, and you can stay probably in the arrow position and pull one off and chew it. Don't litter. Maybe put it in your back pocket if you possibly can. But be careful of your thighs. Maybe it's just me, but your inner thigh might scratch the edge of it when you bring your knees up. Have you ever had that experience where you might cut yourself?
I have had that experience before. And speaking of that, I've also shoved bars or gels up my pant leg of my cycling shorts.
Yes.
As well as trash. And sometimes the trash, if I stuff my leg up with trash, it could rub me the wrong way as well. So I've experienced that phenomenon as well. But I think it's easy access for me to shove stuff down my swimsuit area or up my shorts. For me, that works for me. It's on my body. I don't lose it. It's not going to blow off my bike. If I hit a bump, my nutrition isn't going to fly off my bike because it's already part of me and my body. So that's the way I go.
Yeah, I've done that too. My last race I did was in Arizona. I put a banana down the front of my kit in my chest, along with a water bottle on the run, just so I'd have it with me, and it's easier to run when I was running, run hands free. But that's a great place. Anybody, put something down the front of your kit because it stays there close, and you don't have to worry about having extra space on your bike. The question again about what other stuff do you need on your bike on race day stuff. Maybe if you have, depends on where you put it, a flat kit, tube, CO2, and there's a couple places that you can do this with. What are some suggestions for you on how you carry that stuff?
So I don't use sew up tubes. If I get a flat, it's just going to be a normal tube. So I will always carry 2 tubes, 2 CO2s, a CO2 gun, or something smaller to place on the CO2 so I can use it, and 2 tire levers. I will have a box underneath my seat that I'll put as much as I can in there. Normally I can't fit all that in the box, so I'll take an extra tube and I'll shove it up my cycling short leg.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I just feel safe. I just feel better with 2 tubes. I've gotten flat tires before. And so if you get one flat tire, what if you get another one? I just want to be prepared.
And what if that first flat doesn't take, or first tube doesn't take, or you accidentally pop it because you put it on incorrectly or blow it up incorrectly?
So I will have 2 of everything.
I've seen people just electrical tape it around their stem of their bike seat.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that too. That's a good idea.
If they don't have one of those little boxes that you can slide behind your seat or somewhere else. Yeah. I guess you could put it in the bento box if you have space, or maybe into an extra water bottle holder.
Yeah, I put my CO2 cartridges in my bento box.
I've also seen people put their CO2 and other gear tools into an empty water bottle behind their seat along with the tube.
I've done that before too.
Yeah.
I did that once. The only one time I used bottles behind my seat, one of those bottles was full of all my tubes.
Ah, okay. So I think we're covering most of this on what you need to have on your bike for race day, besides the gels and waters and some pros and cons. If it's a really cold day, by the way, if you have your exposed power bars or power gels, they're going to be hard. So one little tip, as Wendy kind of said, you can put it on next to your body, under your thigh, or in your kit itself to keep those items somewhat softer. Because if they get too hard, it's going to be really hard to chew, or maybe in your back pocket. Depends on what kind of kit you have, cycling kit or triathlete kit of little pockets around. And maybe on the run, you have little spots you can put them under your thighs or anywhere just to keep them warm and so they're easy to consume. Anything else about this question?
I can't think of anything else that I would carry.
Sunglasses. One thing I'd say, what I've experimented off and on, it's like I'll fumble with my sunglasses, and I've just been putting them in my gear, in my suit, instead of trying to put them on, because sometimes they'll be wet after your swim. Mm-hmm. And that would be one thing. I think it's about all I can really offer right now that I can think of.
One thing I thought of, this isn't something that you put on your bike, but just know when it comes to your bib number, some race directors require you to wear your bib number on your bike.
Yeah.
Or just the run. So I normally will have a bib number on my race belt. More often than not, I'll grab my race belt and have my bib number on me on the bike. Just wanted to throw that out there because it's just thinking of everything you need for yourself on the bike. That's something that you might want to include.
One final idea that I got from Roger is by putting your race bib number on under your wetsuit, and you can fold it up. You can put it depends if you have a one piece or a two piece, fold it up underneath your kit, turn it around backwards, saves you a step when it comes to your bike to run transition, because you said some directors may require you to have it on the bike, which I haven't heard that too often, but they definitely have it on the run. And what you can do is just turn it around and have it face on your back on the bike so it doesn't get in the way in the front or flap around too much in the front, and no worries about it tearing. That's a couple suggestions on the race bib. Well, with that, how about we wrap up episode 251 of the Endurance Hour podcast? If you have any questions for us, you can always email us at endurancehour@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail. We'll feature that on the program. Speakpipe.com/endurancehour. And Wendy, tell them about our Facebook group.
So we started a Facebook group 11 months ago. We'll be celebrating 1 year in March. And we have, maybe 350 members that usually it's members join because they've heard it on the podcast or they've gone to your YouTube channel. Or they've seen it posted on Facebook. And it's just a community of endurance athletes, triathletes, CrossFitters, Spartan racers. There's a large variety of athletes. I like to post questions every day. Sometimes I don't get to it every day. Motivational quotes. People post questions. I answer them. Other members chime in. So it's a really good community of support. And don't feel intimidated by asking a question, because there are a lot of newbies in the group as well. Newbies who aren't into endurance sports or triathlon yet, but they want to be. So they've joined our group to learn more and just get more resources from Dave and myself, as well as the experienced athletes in the group.
And with that, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a great week of racing, training, or recovery. Take care. Adios.
Adios.
Today's question is brought to you by How to Swim Faster in 30 Days, a freestyle guide to dropping time in the pool or open water. This multimedia training plan includes 42 instructional swim lesson videos and demonstrations above and below the water, plus a detailed 30-day calendar designed to help you swim faster and more efficiently than ever before.